Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Paris, or in this case, sort of Paris. We are in a very historic suburb to the east of the city called Vincennes. There is a very famous park here, but also just the town of Vincennes in and of itself is really spectacular for several reasons. It goes way back to the medieval period of Paris, and there are links to chateaus and kings and royal families and whatnot, and we will definitely see evidence of that today. I called this one the Blossoms and Buttresses of Vincennes. So we're starting out here just a few minutes from Paris. This is a park called Le Jardin du Levant, Levant. This is technically a suspended garden that you're looking at here, a suspended park, because what runs underneath us is the RER train. I believe it's the RER, the line A, that takes you through Vincennes from Paris and elsewhere as well. And I want to thank all my live viewers here. It's great to have you. I will remind you, if you're watching live, that the super chat function is there, the little $ button. That's a great way to help support the cause here. Otherwise, all the links in the description are there for PayPal and Patreon and all these wonderful ways that you can help me to keep this content coming. So let's get mobile here. Let's get on the move. I will be using my bike for this episode, but at the moment I'm on foot. And there are a lot of kids and families here, so I'm just going to have to be judicious with the filming of them. As you know, I don't really like to do that. So we'll try to not bother people too much here. But look at this. This is Le Jardin du Levant. And this is, really, I call it my secret blossom spot of Paris. Just minutes outside of the city to the east. These are cherry blossoms, but they're the very early version that arrives in Paris before the very famous cherry blossoms that I would describe as the cotton candy type blossoms. This is another variety, another Japanese cherry tree variety. I don't know exactly what variety it is, and I wouldn't know how to pronounce it anyway, but you can see, I'll just give you the general idea. Really impressive. And when I first found this, I was out here in the suburb of Vincennes, and I came across this by accident. I was actually in the car with my wife, and I grabbed her arm and I said, pull over, we got to go back. I just saw something spectacular. So let's walk through it. Just the shape of these tree trunks is spectacular. So yes, we're in Vincennes today. We're going to enjoy some suburb action here. Great architecture around, and of course certain things are very much in bloom. And then at the tail end of this episode will be bookended by the blossoms here, and then also the Chateau de Vincennes, in particular its beautiful medieval chapel. It's called the Chapelle de Vincennes. And on a bright sunny day like this, I think you'll really enjoy that. So you can see this goes on for a while. It's a long rectangle of beautiful flowers, again, mid-March to early April. If I can get out of sort of block the glare for you, hopefully you can make out these gorgeous roses as well. Oh, those aren't roses, but there are some roses that I'll show you a little later on. Those who follow me, you know I'm terrible with flowers and that sort of thing. But my goodness, you just pick a direction. And like I said, this is an area that, because of its location, almost literally no visitors, no tourists will find these blossoms. This is all 100% local. Really a secret spot, if ever you could use that term. Look at this. And whatever these are, the color of them are just dynamite. I love the really dark, desaturated leaves and the color of these flowers. Don't worry, I'll find some that are in the sunlight, which would probably be a better viewer experience for you. Look at that. Oof. What a backdrop. Camellias. Okay, thank you, everybody. They are camellia. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. camellias. And look at those, the white cherry blossoms, just spectacular. Now we are in our third lockdown in Paris, starting today officially, but it's a sort of limited lockdown, flexible lockdown, where they basically just want you to not go too far from your home. It's a 10 kilometer radius from your home, and they don't want you to gather in groups out, anywhere really. So as long as you're outside and you're in a very small group, you're walking your dog, you're getting exercise, taking the kids to the park, which is what my wife is up to right now, that's all allowed. But I've got the document, what the French call an attestation, which is the little document you carry with you to show that you have the right to do this, have the right to be out. You can hear the train, I think, right? Those are, I don't know if you made that out yet, but those are the tracks that run underneath us, the RER. And this tree is just, oof. Once again, taking my breath away. I get some backlit action there. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Colleen says, yes, you can hear the train, that's fun. Interesting you say that, Colleen, because the people who live here probably don't think it's as fun at this point, but I totally understand what you mean. So as you can see, we're just absolutely spoiled for springtime loveliness here. And you come through here with a camera, you'll spend a good hour just spinning your head around. So it's le Jardin du Levant.
Non, il faut pas trop marcher dessus. Ok?
Great turnout today, live turnout. Thank you everybody for choosing to spend your time with me. I'll remind you one more time to, it's very easy to click the thumbs up button on this video. That will help it get spread around. Our community of Paris lovers is still growing, and it'd be fun to keep it that way. So this staircase from our angle doesn't look particularly amazing, but from down here, I really love this view. So let us turn around. Got a lovely French couple descending, and I'll give you, so look at this for example. Now that is a staircase that you'd want to climb. Thanks Margaret. She reminds everybody you have to minimize your screen to find the like button. Thank you, Bonnie Turbeville. I believe that's my first super chat of this episode. I really appreciate that. You rock. Oh, and Holly Mackler as well. That's amazing. Maybe I'm a bit behind on the comments. That's why. Thanks, everybody, for the support. Appreciate that. All right. So here, obviously, you could spend your time just finding multiple perspectives. Just for fun, because we're not in a hurry. We're never in a hurry. Just got to show you this big white one from another angle. This thing's so humongous, we got to back up. Oh, there's a train. Woo. I don't know if you care at all to see the train, but I just thought I'd show you. Here we go. So this is the end of the park. Now the architecture around here is fairly modern, but you'll see what I love about the suburb of Vincennes is there's plenty of good old architecture as well. Peggy says her husband Ron always enjoys the trains. Thanks, Ron. If you're out there, Ron, I hope you don't have a migraine today. Ron is one of our fellow migraine sufferers. And you know, us migraine folks, we've got a special bond, I think. We have a special understanding that nobody else can really understand, I think. Lots of color. And then all along on this side.
My mom is
Com-
watching you live, I think.
C'est vrai?
Yeah, je crois. She's fond of you.
Ah,
Yeah, she
super!
likes what you do.
Elle est où?
Non, bah,
Elle
live,
est-
I think, yeah.
Ah,
Elle est en
d'accord.
train de regarder. Elle m'a parlé de vous, elle m'a dit que vous serez là aujourd'hui.
Bah, dis bonjour.
Bonjour maman, je vous regarde.
This-
Bienvenue dans mon quartier.
Ah, this guy's mom is watching me right now. Ah, c'est génial, merci beaucoup.
Super ici, c'est joli.
Ouais, bonne journée à toi. That guy's mom somewhere is watching me live, so I gave him a chance to say hello to his mother. He said she's a fan of the series. That's hilarious. Seems like he might live here. He said something about his neighborhood. Oh, so these are what I was calling roses. I hope I'm right about that. No, maybe they're not. I don't know. I should really shut up when it comes to flowers, but are they carnations or something? I'm sure you'll tell me. I should just stick to the historical references and nothing botanical. And then maybe it's worth getting a close-up of these pink blossoms just to give you an idea of what's going on there. Get one that's lit. All right. We're heading back over toward the bike. Thanks, Adriano. I see you there. Appreciate the support. Oh, this is worth a look. Again, we don't want to intrude, but can you make out there's a lovely magnolia tree in the distance there. Stupendous, as we were saying last week. And I'll do my moonwalk move. La, da, 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 da. And one last look before we hop on the bike. Because as always, there's a lot to see. I'll just give you one last pan. The Jardin du Levant in the heart of Vincennes. Okay, everybody, those were the blossoms. Let's head toward some other good stuff, including the buttresses that are referenced in the title. Let me set you down. I'll give you some sort of view, because I gotta unlock the old bike. Hope that camera angle isn't too terrible. You can see the shoes I'm sporting today. I'm in a white shoe phase. Don't know why, I'm going with it. Almost done. Talk amongst yourselves. I never locked my bike with just one lock, obviously. Paris is not a city where you want to skimp on bike locks. All right, cool. One last thing. Thank you for your patience. All right. Here we go. We can do this. Okay, he's gonna let us go. Merci, monsieur. So we're headed toward part of the Bois de Vincennes, the famous forested park in this area. Just turned green, we're good. I want you to take a look here on the left, because there are the balconies that I adore. There must be a name for this style where they bow out at the bottom there, but I am just absolutely in love with that ironwork. So good. And when there's a shadow cast on the brick, that's pretty great too. So you can see there's some architecture like this where you get, for lack of a better term, a very Parisian feeling. Someone just threw up a super chat, but I didn't catch it. That's a little bit of a different feel. But yeah, this area of Vincennes is when my wife and I talk about upgrading our neighborhood and our home. This often comes up, this area. So part of the Bois de Vincennes, I hope that my signal is going to hold true for us today. We're going to ride along this, but I do want to pop right here just for a second. I'm going to kickstand it. Because look at this adorable little fountain just in the middle of this apartment complex. I wonder if that has any water during the warmer months. But I just thought that was a nice little piece of flair here in this courtyard. I mean, a small fountain's better than no fountain. I think you can all agree. And here it is, the Bois de Vincennes. A lot of people out trying to get a little bit of fresh air. Some people took off from the Paris region altogether. And I gotta wait for a van. Sorry for any of you who are disappointed that you haven't heard any Peter Cetera songs yet. If you didn't see last episode, 108, I was randomly started singing Peter Cetera songs. But I promised myself I wouldn't do that this time. You can't repeat yourself. And I thought, well, should I do some Christopher Cross or some Michael McDonald? And no. There's a time and a place, Corey. In a moment, I'm going to show you there are some gents here playing pétanque or boule. We'll talk about that. There's a cute little pavilion. But here, again, you get some, even though the more modern apartment buildings have a flair of a historic Parisian feel, being that Vincennes was always historically very linked to Paris and the royal family. So little moments like that. Margaret says, Corey, because of you, I listened to Peter Cetera all week. Good morning, Trish. It's good to have you here. Onward. Yeah, so again, I think that this is the part of the tour where I'll have the weakest cell signal, so if it gets a little choppy, that's probably why. So there's a pétanque association that is linked to this pavilion here, and I'll try to get out of the glare so you can see. It's called the Pavillon Armand. Look at that. Oh, yeah. So, you know, these folks, I mean, pétanque has become a kind of a hipster game for people in Paris. But, you know, they're still an old guard. It's the old codgers will take it very seriously. And what they do is there are spots over there to the left, and I think to the right where they'll play pétanque, and I think there are billiards in there and stuff. At least that's what the sign said. But this is gorgeous. This is probably one of the 19th century structures built under Napoleon III. That sign, you probably can't see it, but this sign here is mosaic. Someone said it has an English feel. I don't know if they're talking about the pavilion or the park. The park is definitely in the English style. Oh, the old glasses are fogging up, plus the glare of the sun means I'm completely blind here. Let's see if we can sneak a peek of these gents playing their game. I doubt they want to be filmed, so I won't stay long, but get the idea. All right, let's ride. Oh, someone just said, "Oh, la caméra." I knew it wouldn't take that long for them to notice the camera. Sorry, guys, don't worry. C'est rien de méchant. It's nothing mean, nothing evil. We're just cutting through the park here. And I knew my service wouldn't be great. That's all right. It shall get better. Look at this thing here. This is worth a little detour. Again, we're in the Bois de Vincennes. This is like a little... I mean, in the past I've called these gazebos. Someone left a comment saying that where they live it's called a bandstand, which I totally get. And I don't know if there's a difference between them and if I'm using the wrong term. But if I say gazebo, you'll understand what I mean. I'm sure there's some sort of difference between them. Oh, Kristen Parker says, loving this. Thanks to Heather M for the support. She says, stunning, Corey. Thank you as always for bringing us to Paris. My pleasure. And we've got Catherine Siegel. Merci, Corey. Woke up sad that there was no Premier League on, but having a great time watching this. I won't pretend that I can compete with a Premier League match, but that's lovely. I don't know much about that space or if anyone ever uses it, but I think it's a great idea. Whew. One reason I got a bike that has the larger tires is I knew that I would want to occasionally do these rather rough terrain detours. Oh, let's stop here because something just caught my eye. Cute little spot. Surely, originally that was a one-family home. I don't know if it still is. But yeah, Vincennes, if you're not familiar with it, is one of, as far as eastern suburbs go, I think given a choice, a lot of Parisians would go in the western suburbs. They're generally considered a little more affluent and clean and blah, all of that stuff, you know. But as far as eastern suburbs go, I think Vincennes is one of the most intriguing and probably one of the more pleasant areas to live in, if you can afford it. All right, back on the street. I love these trees. I still haven't figured out what the name is, but I love them. Oh, let me show you a perspective that I just noticed. No perspective can go unchecked, as far as I'm concerned. One sec. Just a little pop over real quick. Great entrance. Great entrance. Back on the steed. On the steed again. Oh no, I didn't know I was gonna sing Willie Nelson today. Of all people. We're approaching the esplanade that's in front of the City Hall of Vincennes. La mairie, as they call it in French. I've got another perspective to check out though. We'll let this lady pass. Can you make that out? Woo! Good stuff. I don't want to film the kids, but you get the idea, right? Awesome. I can't wait to get on my bike again. So yeah, in a moment I'll show you the City Hall building, which no matter where you are in France, those town hall, city hall buildings are almost always great. Can you make this out? It's just a typical yellow mailbox where you post your letters. But someone did an MJ here with the I don't know, I guess that's the Thriller costume? Thriller or Beat It? Did he wear the same for both? Can't remember. I should know that, being an 80s kid. So two perspectives that I want to show you of this. La Mairie, the City Hall. It's a great little building. So two compositions. One, I think with this, it's pretty cool. Something like that. Emerging from the green puffy things, whatever these are called. This is an area where they'll have things like ice skating in the winter and large temporary playground structures and, you know, bouncy castles and stuff like that for the kids. It's just something different every year. And the other composition, hold on, is over this way. These beauties. Yeah, something like that. Maybe like that. Ah, happy place, right? The light is spectacular. I was saying earlier, I was really crossing my fingers for some good light today. And we got it. So again, some of the buildings are rather new and then some are clearly older, like this beautiful pink one here. Tucked away in the middle, if you can make that out. And then the one next to it has some pretty decent balcony action. And back onto the bike lane. Living in one of these spots must be pretty spectacular because you're going to see we are just steps away from the Chateau de Vincennes. I'm a big fan of this one on the corner too. Great color. And I love the gate. We pause here. Look at that entrance there, especially when it's all in the summer when that's all grown in. Let me get us closer. Oh yeah. Woo! That's an entrance. Margaret says you need to return here when this is in bloom. Yeah, everything up above here on the arch. Whenever that's in bloom, I want to be around. Okay, we're going to make our way to the exteriors of the chateau, at least the Chateau de Vincennes. Really spectacular. I do love these flower beds on the right here this time of year. You can almost get sort of a composition with the flower beds in that building that we just saw. If we could just remove those poles. But yeah, flowers are lovely. So we're pointed toward Paris. If you went in that direction for another 10 minutes or so, you'd be in the city. And this is, you're going to see the Chateau de Vincennes. There's a bit of construction going on, which seems to be the case for almost all of Paris. But on a sunny day, this is spectacular because we're coming up on the, going around the ramparts and whatnot. But the sun cuts across this lawn in spectacular ways. That in the center of your screen is the chapel, the Chateau de Vincennes. It's probably all in silhouette for you, but look at this little bench here. What a dream. Sit there and just stare at the Gothic architecture. So what's great, let me pop off my bike here. I mean, these shadows are just spectacular. Love it. I was here the other day and I just photographed this for forever. Oh, I'm seeing some used corks on the lawn here, and it reminds me that my Patreon supporters, who are in our Facebook group, we're gonna have a cafe chat in the park after this, and I brought a little bottle of wine with me. And I haven't drank wine in a long, long time. I've been off it for a while, so I will probably get properly buzzed on camera, privately with my Facebook peeps. My Patreon supporters. So again, here's I'm just in love with that. Hope you're enjoying it too. 250 of you here live. Really appreciate that. Awesome. So the Chateau de Vincennes was a lot of it came through in the 12th, 13th century, 14th century, and then it was added on. And this chapel that we're coming up on, the Chateau de Vincennes, not to be confused with that of Paris, is a 14th century structure, if memory serves. But it is very similar to, at least in some respects, very similar to what you'll find in the Parisian one, minus the spectacular stained glass that the Parisian one has. So let's stop here for a minute. I know a lot of this is backlit for you, so maybe let's get into the shade. see my... Oh, that doesn't work at all. Oh, the sun just isn't quite... There we go. Let's see. Don't worry, we'll get a better view. The sun is just a little... We need to do this like 12 minutes later than we are. I thought this was great. The shadow that's cast by the structure with the chain. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, the sunlight, we got to get on another perspective of the chapel. My bike's sorry for the camera work, everybody. Bike's a little bit squeaky today. There we go. So the reason there's a chapel here, as I understand it, is because good old St. Louis IX, when he had the very famous crown of thorns brought to Paris, and the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris was being built to house the crown of thorns. The crown of thorns itself, the object, was kept here at Vincennes. And then when the crown was transferred to Paris, apparently part of the crown or some other relics were still in Vincennes, and so they built this version to house those. So in a way, this Sainte-Chapelle is a tribute or a reminder or a testament to the fact that the crown of thorns resided here at Vincennes for a certain amount of time. I love it as a backdrop to this very large lawn. Oh, yes. Oui, oui, oui. This is the moat. It was a dry moat, as I understand it. I think for the most part, the moats were only filled with water when there was a practical source nearby, like if the chateau was near a lake or near a river, which was the case for the Louvre, being built right next to the Seine. You can see that gorgeous bridge that spans across there. So yeah, no snapping crocodiles in a wet. Sorry folks, you might have lost me again there. So this is the south side of the Chateau de Vincennes. This structure here that you're looking at is, there's a show called Who Do You Think You Are? Where they trace back your ancestors and your family tree. And the author of Harry Potter came here in the episode that she did, J.K. Rowling. She came here into this building. I recognized it in the episode. So she learned about her father or her grandfather. She has a war hero in her family, and she learned about it in this building. So that's random, but if you're a fan of hers, maybe that will be interesting to you. glimpses through the arches there of the Chateau de Vincennes. I quite like views like this where you can frame the stained glass window in one of those arches. And then it appears someone's sitting there admiring it as well, which is another cool element. Love that. That'd be a really cool picture to take, actually, if you zoomed in a bit. For the Frites out there, my Patreon supporters, we are very, very close right now to that park that I called Your Own Private Giverny, if you remember that, with the spectacular garden structure. This right here, I was looking down the other day and I found this structure, and I couldn't read the plaque from up here, but I found out that a duke was executed by order of Napoleon Bonaparte because the duke was accused of plotting to take down Napoleon. And in fact, it turns out there's not really any evidence that the duke was about to do that, and everyone pleaded with Napoleon, including the empress, his wife, and whatnot. They said, "Don't kill this duke, it's going to be just bad publicity for you." And he said, no, I'm going to kill him. So he was executed there, and I assume that that's what this thing is for. He was dumped into a grave there, but then later exhumed. There used to be a weeping willow. I saw an old etching or a painting of a weeping willow here in the corner, but I guess they removed that. But the guy's still got a small monument there, which, let's be honest, it's more than a lot of us will ever have, so. I still have time. I'm 40, almost 44. I still got time to get myself one of those little monuments, or like a mini, maybe like a mini obelisk or something. So what we can see a little bit of there is the donjon, or the keep, the original keep of the chateau. And I'm wondering if we can find a better, yeah, I think we can get a better view. We're gonna go around. So the keep, you know, the French use the word donjon, so you could make a mistake and translate that as dungeon and just assume that people were locked up in it all the time, that it was a prison. But the donjon, or the keep, was very often used for keeping valuables of the royal family, books, for example, or jewelry, armaments. Sometimes the family themselves would stay there temporarily in the keep. So it was a multifunctional piece of architecture. And I'm just on a hunch, assuming that we can see, yeah, there we go. Can see it better here. Oh, with a French flag on top. If you're thinking about visiting the Chateau de Vincennes, kid just fell off a bike. You should know that it's not one of these historical chateaux that are furnished and you're going to see beautiful tapestries in every room and whatnot. It's pretty bare bones in there, so you got to really be a lover of history, and it's not quite as flashy as other chateaux that you will visit. But you can enter the Sainte-Chapelle, and you can enter this keep and go upstairs and get the views and whatnot. So it is what it is. Charles V had his library famously here, and kings were married in this building, in the chateau. One or two people died in this building. Apparently Louis IX was staying here when he left for a crusade and never came back. So it's really pretty. Great that it has stayed intact with all of the daily life of the suburb of Vincennes bustling around it on every side. And can I manage to get myself up this hill? Oh, that was such an accomplishment to do that one-handed. Oh, I'm proud. So yeah, this is fun. Hold on, let me get off. Because people are playing, they're playing another game called Molki, which comes from one of the Scandinavian countries, I think, with those little blocks of wood that you try to knock down. But I know I can't really do it with this aspect ratio, but you can get the idea that all of this is playing out against a spectacular medieval backdrop. I've always loved that about Europe. It has always excited my imagination. And I think we're going to wrap things up there, folks. This is, again, the blossoms and the buttresses of Vincennes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks to everybody who fired off a super chat. And thanks to anybody else who wants to use the links in the description to help support via Patreon or PayPal or my merch store. You can buy some French fry merch, etc. And, you know, we always like to finish on something worthwhile, so we'll just do that. So, if you are a current Patreon supporter in our Facebook group, the Cafe Chats group, pop over there in 5 or 10 minutes. I got a little bottle of wine and some cheese and some goodies in my backpack, and we'll just fire up a little impromptu picnic in one of these parks. I look forward to chatting with you. I think that's about all I want to say. I hope you enjoyed this bright, sunny Saturday from Vincennes, east of Paris. And I wish you all the best. If you can't bring yourself to Paris, I'm going to keep bringing it to you. And I will see you for episode 110 in the not too distant future. Thanks everybody in the comments, firing off your mercies and your thank yous. And I'm not going to draw out this goodbye like I always do. But take care everybody, and I'll see you on the next one.